I have been struck with inspiration quite a while ago because I lost some footage. You see, lately I've been thinking about how in recent times with Minecraft building, people aren't just making Minecraft builds anymore. Now they're making builds like paintings instead of just builds. And I wanted to try that today. And my inspiration came not in the form of a palette that I wanted to try or a theme I wanted to do, but instead in a vibe that I wanted, in a symbolic idea that I wanted to set. And that's what this is the start of. Let me get out of shaders because shaders are cheating, and any good build should be able to stand its own without the use of shaders. It's actually a lot easier to show you guys what tone I'm trying to set with this build now that I have laid out the terraforming off camera. Basically, I want to create an atmosphere of melancholic precariousness. I want to have a setting that feels like it could tip over at any moment, but it is completely still. And I wanted to do that in two ways. One, I wanted to create an isolated feeling by making the build happen further out into the ocean, because the ocean is kind of isolating in a way, in my opinion at least. And I wanted to do that by raising it off of the ground, which increases the feelings of isolation, which are another thing that I want to add to this build. And not only that, the jagged nature of the terrain that most of the build is going to be on creates this precarious feeling, the feeling like it could topple over at any minute, but it is stable in the current time. I've been playing around with this side of the mountain, and I think I've gotten to a point where I like it. Most of the actual goodness of how it looks is going to come from the texturing anyway, so I think this is a fine place to stop. The next thing to tackle is terraforming and just tweaking these little pillars, which I literally just did by doing the old sand trick. And I have done nothing else to them. So let's fix that. And here are new jagged little rocks. I spent quite a while adding all of these fissures. I might actually smooth them out later, now that I think about it. Now it's time to settle on a texturing style for these rocks. On the bottom layer of the rocks, I wanted to try something out to give just a little bit of flavor to the terrain. I want to add like these basalt columns next to the ground, but only like surrounding like the edges of things, maybe in patches as well. I think I'm going to do a bit of the dead brain coral block in tandem with the tuff towards the bottom, so it'll be like a mix of the two, with some stone like mixed in there too, of course. I feel like that creates a really good like lower area balance. It's very noisy though. And I think it also counteracts the greenness of the tuff, which is becoming a problem for just using it as like a darker stone. Isn't that beautiful? Except it's completely wrong and I have to redo the whole thing. It's not that big of a mistake, but still. I did that whole thing of the texturing and I just noticed that my alignment of all of these is completely wrong and makes no sense. Why is it that I decided to angle the cliff this way and then point all of the little peaks this way? It doesn't make sense. Why did I do this? They should be going this way, right? Like, these should be coming towards me from here, not going off that way. It looks fine from that angle, but I want it to look fine from every angle. Fortunately, that's an easy fix with Worldlit, so let's just go over my decisions with the texturing. The first thing I did was I added all of the basalt around here, just in little patches. And then I decided to create a little bit of a gradient going from I think I've already explained most of the texturing before on this little part right here. The only other thing that I added was these little rounded ones instead of the basalt regions. And here all I did was use the smooth basalt and the cobbled deep slate to create kind of like the darkest part of it, and then I just kind of shaded it up. And I did the same thing on this side with this little bulge here. And the only other thing of note to say is that I used the andesite mostly as like a highlight and the tuff mostly as a shadow. So like when it got to these parts over here, I would try and put andesite like on the edges, the raised edges, and tuff in the recesses like here. And that's way more apparent on these where we have all these little fissures. And I always like put little gradients inside the fissures. So inside the fissures it's tuff and the dead brain coral, but then outside it's the andesite, the highlight. Okay, it's not the best terraforming job, but it's just a background piece. It just had to be something. And we're going to start from right here with the bridges that go from each peak to the next. And I think I want to use spruce for that. Maybe this one will come up, and then it will have some kind of like support underneath. Okay, now I'm going to mark out the bridge with full blocks, and I can convert it to half blocks. Much easier. Okay, I think I've gotten it to sag the way I want it to in the middle, because it's going to be kind of like those bridges that kind of bend in the middle. Might be a little bit too dramatic, but I don't quite know how to fix that. And then instead of a full rail along the side, I'm just going to put fences on one side. This is probably the least OSHA certified bridge to ever bridge in the history of bridging. Okay, I made a little pathway off to the side on this landing, and this is where the next bridge is going to go, probably onto that side of that peak. I think I changed my mind about the bridge. I do want some kind of a railing. Simply because, again, the themes of this are, yes, there is precariousness, but there's also calmness. And this is anxiety inducing. You think you're going to fall off, but I think it is just going to be like this trapdoor one. The next bridge is going to be longer, but it's also going to be easier because we have a direct, straight diagonal to the next landing. I think because I want to do something different with this one, I'm going to keep it at the same Y level. But I am going to do something weird in that basically I want to have a support in the middle coming up from the ocean, or maybe from each side. I'm not quite sure yet. Just like a little wooden log support, and it's going to be like 2 arcs that are drooping down. I think I found a really clean bridge design to use for this one. And then over here I'm just going to make another one of those sandstone diorite walls. Not walls. Roofs. I kept this landing kind of simple. I just kind of replaced a few with trapdoors, put some barrels over here. Only notable thing is the little awning. But these don't need to be very complex. They can just be little simple landings. Oh, looks like we only have 2 bridges left. I'm going to try a little bit of a different strategy to get to this next one. But first, to get the bridge shape sorted out, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a straight line from this to the point where I want the next landing. Perfect, that's a mostly straight line, straight enough. Okay, so now we have a straight line going from this landing to where that landing is going to be. And so now I can choose a point probably along the middle to be the vertex of the parabola, where it sags down from the gravity. I just held up a string in real life to check. When you hold up something loose, with varying heights on each side, the lowest point is closer to the closer side. Which means that our lowest point should be around here. Maybe a little bit lower. So now we just need to link up each landing to the lowest point with slabs going in a smooth curve. And we'll have a very realistic-ish looking bridge. Okay, I think that creates a realistic bridge sag. Now for the second to last, last landing, I wanted to keep it very simple like we did the first one, but I want to add a little something at the bottom of this cliff. For that detail I was talking about earlier, I want to create a little bit of an anchor down here, just to add a bit of extra detail. There we go, and then we can angle this way instead, and then it should look good. Good. Okay, and now if I just find a way to lay this against here, I should be good. Yeah, I'd say it looks pretty good. Yes, it's really coming together now. It fits right in at the bottom of that cliff. Okay, so I'm going to do that same trick again, where I use the wool and I make a straight line and then I sag it in the middle. And I think this time I'm going to put the next landing right here. Well, not this isn't the next landing. This is the entrance to the house that's going to be here. There's going to be the entrance part where you enter from the bridge, and there's going to be a part that goes down, because I'm going to have a series of small landings and ladders going down towards a small dock. And then it's also going to be a section that leads right into a house. It's going to go right about here, probably, maybe right here, and it's going to wrap around or something. Because this one has so many lengths where it's just one thing this way, the fence is going to be a lot more useful, because we go like a whole several at a time without going in more this way. Alright, now we can finally work on the support structure for these platforms right here. And then we use some spruce logs to kind of thicken it up. That, along with some fences, just to act as some more support. And we should be good. Because I've used the spruce logs here, I think I'm going to use them in other places as well, because some of these places are not looking very sturdy. I think first I'll work on the section that goes down to the docks. Can I not walk down here anymore? No, I can still walk down here. Just have to hit my head a little bit. Unless I don't have the ladders on this side. Oopsie. That was... Just pretend that's normal stone. I have the ladders on this side. Yeah?
Are you in charge of walking, Calamity?
I am.
9 o'clock.
I've had her on a late afternoon walk at 4. I'll walk her right now. And then we'll do that trick where you make it look like it's wet by making it dark oak under the water. I'd say that looks pretty good. It might be a little bit heavy on the wood, but I think it'll end up okay. One thing I wanted to add to this section up here that splits off is a bell. I want to act as sort of like a doorbell if you want to enter the house. And I probably want to put it like right here. After fiddling around with this for an unnecessary amount of time, I finally came up with a design I liked. I put the calcite behind these trapdoors and then I reconfigured the railing to wrap around the doorbell. For the main house, the main section is going to be, it's going to come out this way and go over this way a bit and wrap around kind of on this side, going up to about like, I don't know, here. And this space is going to just be like supports. And then on this side is going to be a bit of like a brick, just kind of stairway up kind of block right around here. And the main house portion is going to be a gradient that goes from, or not gradient, but like transition that goes from sandstone to calcite. So it's a mix of sandstone and calcite, kind of like we did for those roofs over there. But now it's going to be a gradient with the bottom part being sandstone. It's going to fade up into the white blocks. I'm not blending them right now or adding all the intermediate like texturing blocks. I'm just trying to get a sense of the size to see if it feels right. Okay, that looks pretty bad. I want it to be on like one side, so I'm probably gonna end up extending it more out on this side and okay. Yeah, so now I can have, I'm gonna make this because I'm gonna dig into the rock a little bit in the interior. I think that's fine. I'm gonna have what? 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna make 2 rooms on top of each other as the main house. One of them out of sandstone, the other out of calcite. Maybe I'll just offset them by 1 block even. Yeah, that's a lot better. This gradient's really hard because there isn't a very good transition block between the two. The closest I've gotten is putting smooth sandstone next to bone. And I think it's gonna work pretty well. It's gonna look a lot better once we put like some details, like some windows and stuff on it anyway. So I think it's going pretty well. Just to fill the space, I kind of want to put like just some kind of a pipe going down here. Maybe it could be like a rain spout. Ooh, okay. In which case it could like keep on going up. Maybe off to the side a bit too. On the side I did a little bit of a windowsill and then just a little bit of iron. I don't want to over detail it. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with how the windows came out. I just did this kind of like slanted look. On these two, and I just did trapdoors for this one. Now for the roof. I want the roof to be made of warped wood and for it to come out a bit. I want to come out one more, I think. I don't know, I'm just kind of doing whatever at this point. One last thing I want to do on the top of this is I want to have just one more little tower. I'm probably just going to do mostly bone, honestly. But I just want to have a little viewing platform, like at the very top. I do like the idea of bringing this pillar up to support this part, and I think this is a good way of doing that. On this side, I think I'll do the same thing I did over here with these. That could look good. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Why was they bringing it to the edge? So now that side's supported. This side is supported. We have a bit of a mixing going on here, but I think that's fine. I'll just fill that in. I was wondering what I was going to put right here, but I think I'm going to make another one of those brick and copper lamps that I made earlier. Now to show you what I've done with the interior, I turned this one into just a basic little room. I've got a little kitchen here, a little bookshelf, and just a little table to look out the window through. And then we have the ladder, a bit of a trapdoor to get through, because this is kind of in the middle of the floor. Just a little shelf over here with some barrels, a bed, and some vegetation, and another little table. I didn't have much space here, so it's a bit of an awkward floor plan, but whatever. And then we have a long ladder to get to the viewing platform, where you can see everything from. I was going to terraform this entire top of the cliffs to give a nice path going up to here, but I think honestly the path can just start here. Because I have spent too much time on this build already. As I said before, I want to view this without shaders. I want this to stand on its own, just with its shading or with its composition, just on its own. That's what I mean by it looking like a painting. You know something that looks like a painting and is built like it's a painting in Minecraft when it looks better without shaders than it does with shaders. And honestly, I think that is the case for this build.